Hello there. I want you to join me in a little thought experiment. Let's pretend that a semester-long class is a traditional American breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast, orange slices, a cup of coffee, maybe a glass of milk, or a little cup of yogurt on the side. So what are grades in this wonderful breakfast? Grades are the butter on the toast. Now, everybody loves butter. Well, most people I know love buttered toast. They don't like dry toast. Who knows? Maybe somebody out there likes dry toast. People like being spanked, evidently. It doesn't make any sense to me, but okay. Anyway, grades are the butter on the toast. What that really means is students take from a class all sorts of things: knowledge, experience, memories, the ability to communicate with a team, the ability to cooperate with a boss, the teacher, the ability to work both individually and as part of pairs or even as part of an entire class. All of that can only be vaguely mirrored in a grade. So grades are not the essential thing that students take from classes. Now, grades are important. Butter's pretty important. Grades are certainly important in high school because they determine class rankings, sometimes can influence what college you get into, can influence what kind of scholarships a student gets. And certainly grades for undergraduates are important because if you want to go on and make a higher learning part of your calling, then you need good grades to get into graduate school. But the minute a person enters the working world, grades evaporate. Nobody cares. What's important about a working person is that person's ability to participate, contribute to the team, work diligently, finish assignments, solve problems. Those are the things that really matter in the working world. Nobody cares what grades somebody got in high school. So how do we deal with this grade issue, this butter issue? Well, for me, the ultimate perfect in-class grade is on the 10-point scale. That is it. And the word that we use to determine a grading scale in education is rubric. Now, I don't think that word is used in any other professional field. Rubric is an education word, and it simply means the criterion by which grades are granted. Now, there's a certain grading scale that every American knows whether they were under it at one time or another or not. It's one that we all understand. It's culturally vibrant. It's generations and generations old. It's the ABCDF thing. We all know what it means, we all understand it, and nobody wants to throw it away. Not really. They may want to change the percentages that equal those ABCDFs, but that scale right there is the one. So why do I think the 10-point scale in the classroom is so awesome? Well, first of all, it's numeric. And almost all grades now have some sort of numeric or percentage basis. But the 10-point scale is easily translatable to the letter scale. 10 out of 10 means perfect, rare. 9 out of 10, A. 8 out of 10, B. 7 out of 10, C. 6 out of 10, D. Anything else? Oh my goodness, we have to do something about this. So, it's so familiar that people immediately understand it. Students immediately understand it. So, I think it's a great butter knife. It's simple, it has heft, it's unlikely to hurt a student too badly. I mean, you could spread butter with a scalpel, but nobody should be doing that. And rubrics that are written super fancy with a lot of details, I'm convinced they're just designed to confuse either students or parents so that, you know, some precocious, or not precocious, what word am I looking for? Capricious. Some sort of capricious teacher doesn't just start throwing around grades willy-nilly that have no meaning. So you know, teachers will create these incredibly detailed rubrics that start to mean nothing, kind of try to toss dust in everybody's eyes. I don't think you should do that. I think that grading scales should be weighted with a sort of blunt enthusiasm. When I first started teaching at one school, they wanted me to give 2 grades to every essay. A numerical grade for the essay and a numerical grade for the grammar on the essay. And I thought, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Grammar is not the most important thing in the world, regardless of what English teachers think. Grammar matters, but it's not more important than meaning. It's not more important than thought or ideas. So, what kind of rubric would I set up on a 10-point scale? Well, one of the best I ever came up with, and one that served me throughout my teaching career, was a 5-portion rubric that totaled 10 points. So, I'm going to try to do something magical here. I'm going to try to print it up beside me so that you may see it while I discuss it. The first category is spelling and legibility. The second category, grammar and mechanics. The third category, organization. The fourth category, completeness or thoroughness. And the fifth category, originality. 5 categories, 2 points apiece. One of the great things about this particular butter knife technique is that no single area will destroy a grade. I saw rubrics where teachers were counting the number of grammar errors so they could subtract points from a paper. Who wants to spend their precious time doing that? That's a waste. So, on any single essay, in-class essay or piece of writing, my students could not lose more than 20% for bad grammar. Why? Because I want them to be encouraged to continue writing. If you want somebody to become a master at something, they have to do it over and over again. If you discourage them from writing, they're not going to learn how to write good grammar. So, spelling and legibility, those are pretty easy if you allow the students to type their papers. Some teachers don't, that's okay. But the computer will check spelling, and only if you typed another word will it miss it. And as long as you follow the outline of the style sheet of the teacher, in other words, MLA or APA or whatever layout the teacher wants, as long as you follow that, you can get those 2 points easily. You're on the road. The place where a student is most likely to lose points is on grammar, because English grammar, it turns out, is very subtle and complicated and beautiful. And actually, the scholastic dialect of essay writing is actually quite rarefied air grammatically. Very few people speak as precisely as we expect our students to write. So they're very likely to lose points on the grammar section. So this was my standard. If any page had fewer than 3 errors, 1 or 2 errors on any single page, that student could get 1 of the 2 grammar points. If there was no more than 1 error on any page, or there were no errors on any page, that was 2 points for grammar. But once they passed the 3 threshold, let's say 4 errors on any single page in an essay, then they lost the 2 points for grammar. Organization, did they follow the instructions? Did they follow the outline prescribed? Or did they actually create logical, thoughtful progression in the work if I didn't give an outline to use? Thoroughness, did they try? Does it appear that they actually explored the idea? And of course, originality, did they think for themselves, and did they use no cliches, old hackney pieces of idiom that don't really mean a lot? They need to get away from that and use original thoughts if possible. So, 10 points if they got 2 points in every category. But I had another element to the system, and I think this is really important for writing, and I suspect it may be important for other subject areas. I had R minus, R, and R plus. R meant, I want you to revise this and correct it. So, if a student got an R, That counted in the grade book as a 6 out of 10. But they had a week. And if they rewrote the paper following my suggestions to make it better, they could get a 10 out of 10, even though they did a poor job the first time around. If they got an R+, that means they didn't have to rewrite the paper if they didn't want to, but it was only going to go in as an 8. So if they were looking for that A, if they were looking for that high score, then they could resubmit it. An R- meant you really didn't try at all this week, but I'm going to let you pass this week if you redo this paper you've given me. Now, they had 1 week to resubmit. Not the whole semester, just 1 week. Because I truly believe that skills build over time. I think people need to sleep in order to learn. And I think there's some pretty good research in that area, which I might discuss later on. But those went into the grade book, R, R- or R+, and the students had a week to change it into a number. The other thing that I think a 10-point scale does is it allows students to report their grades to parents, especially concerned parents, in a fairly shorthand way and get the grade part out of the way. Parents should really be interested in what skills their students are developing, what knowledge their students are acquiring. Pardon me, parents think of them as children. Well, everybody has their limitations. They should care what their children are taking from the class more than just the butter. There should be more that matters. Is the experience positive? Is it yielding good results? Are they learning lots of stuff? Are they full of news about the class, about what they're doing? If that's the case, then the grade will take care of itself in most cases. I sincerely believe that the 10-point scale is highly useful. But I'm going to save some of my comments about it for tomorrow, because the truth is the 10-point scale is, above all, practical. It is, in my opinion, the perfect butter knife. So, with that said, I'm going to leave you with that suggestion. Keep your rubrics simple, simple as a butter knife. And don't use grades as a punishment. Use them as an encouragement. Let kids know that the grade can always go up. Of course it can always go down, but it can go up as well. And we need to be encouraged when we're young that we can get better. That's it for today. I hope you have a glorious rest of the day, you gorgeous people.